Sword Art Online Alicization Lycoris is the latest in a long line of games based on the SAO franchise. Developed by Namco Bandai and Aquria, Alicization Lycoris is a true action RPG at its core. So, how does this one hold up? You play as Kirito, the primary protagonist of the Sword Art Online franchise. I'll say little on the plot to avoid spoilers, although it follows faithfully to the SAO Alicization anime. The story itself is fairly engaging, albeit falling foul of many of the common anime tropes. If you're a fan of SAO as a general and haven't seen Alicization, then you'll be a fan of this. If you haven't seen Sword Art Online, however, then a lot of what happens in this game and in lore will make zero sense to you. I have seen the original 25 episodes, and was able to quickly ascertain what was happening. However, having neglected to watch SAO 2, characters introduced at later stages left me wondering who exactly they were, as none of this is explored or explained in-game, outside of text snippets during loading screens. Now, I need to address those loading screens, as load times in this game are, quite frankly, a disgrace. I ran the game from an NVMe drive, and load times were akin to those found on a PS1. I initially made the mistake of running the game from a mechanical drive, and at one stage I had enough time to boil the kettle and make a cup of tea before the load screen had finished. And no, that is not an exaggeration. What was it loading? A 25-second cutscene. This, in our view, is simply unacceptable, as there are many games out there which are much more detailed and load much larger areas in substantially less time. Disabling VSync goes a long way to fixing this, for some bizarre reason. However, load times are still in excess of 10 seconds, even between cutscenes. Something else that takes a while is the ability to play online, with me being level 18 and 20 hours in before I was able to do so. This is understandable from a story perspective, but it's important to note, as the online play is a core feature of the game. Going back to those cutscenes, the first 20 hours of the game feels more like an interactive manga, with short bursts of gameplay thrown in to break it up. Final Fantasy? Eat your heart out. These cutscenes aren't always cutscenes either, most often being flat sprites talking with one another on screen, with what's happening being portrayed by their speech or with background sounds. This is a major letdown, as whilst in-engine cutscenes are janky at times, the fully animated cutscenes that are used sparsely are fantastic. Once past the extensive story elements, how does the gameplay feel though? Movement is itself smooth when directionality is dictated by the camera position. However, when dictated by the left stick, it feels more like using the D-pad, consisting of 8 directions. This feels odd at first, and it can be a problem when wanting to simply move a few feet to grab an item, although I was able to quickly adapt and it never felt as though it hampered combat. Being an ARPG, combat is then a major component. At first it feels stale, with a single button for attack being the only option. However, as you progress through the story and unlock further abilities, this feeling quickly subsides, as you move between blocking, dodging, attacking and sword arts in quick and fluid succession, making for satisfying combat. These sword arts in particular feel great, with a varied selection available which can be chained to capitalise upon one another to make for effective combat, or combine with those of your allies to quickly decimate your foes. These are further varied by the plethora of weapon types available, with each having their own arts and playstyle to learn and take advantage of. Talking of progression, the ability tree is extensive and detailed, with multiple tiers and a wide variety of abilities both active and passive, as well as options for new and upgraded attacks. There are 3 main branches to choose from, being attackers, buffers and defenders, which further branch into specialisations such as scouts and berserkers, as well as individual trees for each weapon type. This is well done and easy to understand, however the tree is general rather than a per character basis. This feels like a huge missed opportunity, as it prevents the easy building of a team which takes advantage of these differing disciplines. As for the things you fight, general mobs around the world are sturdy enough to not die from a single strike, and varied enough that you're never able to memorise every ability they have. Higher tier boss mobs can take a real beating, in most cases requiring several minutes to fell. This never feels like a slog however, with the balance of damage dealt versus health pool feeling about right. Outside of combat, there is the ability to craft both food and items. This crafting system is quite extensive, with a wide variety of items to create and gather, from fishing to searching and farming mobs. There is also a reputation system, with rep being based on a per area basis, as well as the ability to raise friendship with the multiple potential party members within the game, although this is more for flavour than it is for mechanics. Onto the looks then, the game feels dated already. The graphics are perfectly acceptable, however they feel early current gen, as opposed to the much more polished titles we're used to seeing in recent years. Frame rates remain fairly stable, with me comfortably sitting in the high 50s to 60s on a medium spec PC. However, characters appear to be running at half the frame rate as the rest of the world, with their animations at times appearing akin to stop motion. This is jarring at first and took me a very long time to get used to. Sound is a better affair, with music being appropriate and well composed, and ambient sounds being well chosen, albeit underwhelming at times. To conclude then, we score this game 6.5 out of 10, and here's why. Whilst at its core, Alicization Lycoris is a fantastic ARPG, with great sidelines and combat, the overuse of cutscenes feels as though it pulls away from the core gameplay, further exasperated by the ridiculous load times. Story is important in games, but here it feels as though the gameplay is given a back seat to the story when they should be equals. As for whether we recommend buying the game, at £40, if you're a fan of SAO, you want a good ARPG, and you don't mind sitting through more hours of dialogue than a Lord of the Rings marathon, then sure. If you can handle the issues that we've outlined. If, however, you've never watched Sword Art Online, or you're less drawn by the story elements of a game, then quite simply there are many other ARPGs out there that cost less money, look better, and play just as well, if not better. Leave your thoughts below and let us know of any upcoming titles you'd like us to take a look at. We thank you for watching, and we'll catch you all next time.